It's amazing what you can find by the side of the A27. The A27 is the main route that crosses Sussex, going east to west and west to east. And this section here is called the Causeway at Arundel. When I was out filming another video over at Burpham, I saw down this road on my right hand side this earthwork sticking out the side of the hill. So I've done a little bit of research and this is what I've found. So this site is located on private property, part of the Batworth Park estate. So we can't visit this by foot because it is private land. I'm going to be visiting this using the DJI drone. So what we have here is one of Arundel's siege castles. And this fascinated me. I wondered why there was a siege castle and what the siege was for. So the history goes like this. So this castle was built by the fourth and last Norman king of England, Stephen of Blois, or King Stephen. Stephen was the nephew of King Henry I, who died in 1135, without leaving a legitimate heir to his throne. Henry's son, William, died in a shipping accident called the White Ship Incident. The White Ship Incident was a boating accident. The White Ship basically hit a group of rocks in the English Channel, causing it to capsize. All of the people on board were thrown into the water. William himself managed to board a small boat, but basically that boat was sunk by an overwhelming amount of people just trying to clamber aboard the boat. And unfortunately, there was a total loss of life apart from one guy who made it back to the shore, which I believe he was a butcher. So without an heir to the throne, when King Henry died, Stephen raced to England and was coronated as King of England 7 days after the death of King Henry. The real heir to the throne was Maud, King Henry I's daughter. Upon news of hearing that Stephen had been coronated as king, Maud, later to be known as Empress Matilda, gathered an army with her half-brother, the illegitimate son of King Henry I, Robert of Gloucester. Together they gathered an army of 3,000 men and 140 knights. King Stephen had anticipated this and he had fortified Dover. Matilda landed 5 miles south of Arundel Castle, and Adeliza, the stepmother, gave them safe haven in Arundel Castle. And seems would be quite tight living quarters for 3,000 infantry and 140 knights and their horses in Arundel Castle today. Upon news of this landing, Stephen brought his army south and surrounded Arundel Castle with siege castles. In this time of warfare, it was very risky to have open combat, and it was very common practice basically to surround the enemy and essentially starve them out or wait for disease to weaken their ranks. So this is where Stephen built this castle at Warning Camp, right next to the causeway for Arundel. And this gave him good line of sight to see if Matilda and Robert of Gloucester would use that causeway as a way of escaping. They also built siege castles at Rackham and down to the south at Ford as well. It was common practice for the Normans to reuse pre-existing Saxon sites like manors, moot mounds, so it's possible that this is a pre-existing site. This castle is situated just above the floodplain and features an interior area of 32 by 60 metres. The bank itself is 8 metres wide and rises 1.5 metres above the interior level. The bank itself is breached by the entrance, which is 3 metres wide. The surrounding ditch is 6 metres wide and in some places 2 metres deep. So in total, the ditch and bank present a 3.5 metre barrier, which is pretty impressive. It is thought that this siege went on for several months, finally being brought to a conclusion when Stephen went to Arundel Castle to have a meeting with Empress Matilda. Empress Matilda is really interesting because she is an empress of Hecate, and Hecate is a religion that has 8 pillars that can possibly be seen in the 8-pointed star in the current royal family. Hecatean females get magical powers from their mothers, and when mothers pass their magical powers down to their daughters, they are losing their powers as well. It's not clear what magical powers they had, but it has been mentioned they are able to transform things and maybe shapeshift as well. So when Stephen met with Matilda, it was a bit of a shock that he just let Matilda go. He had her surrounded, and he had her surrounded for several months, so he definitely had the advantage. But he let her and her army out of Arundel, and they made their way to Bristol to meet with Robert of Gloucester. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video and this little bit of history. If I did get any of this history wrong, please correct me down in the comments section, and thank you very much for watching.